Okay, today we're going to be making a Panzer III for our tutorial video. So, noticeably, Blender is a difficult to use 3D modeling software. It's also the 3D modeling software of choice. How is this? Well, Blender has multiple features. So for example, if I were to go to edit mode down here in the corner, and then go to face select down here, I would be able to extrude. So if I clicked I would be able to intrude. And then if I clicked E, I would be able to extrude. That's a function of Blender. But if you really want to get a good looking model down, what you want to do is you want to first get a picture of a tank or plane or gun you want to model. So the way to do that is that you pull this little thing here, pull it here, you click the little box in the corner, click UV image editor, and then download the picture you want. I recommend not downloading a blueprint. It's not the same as Toolbox. Rather, you want to download a picture at an angle. So, for example, this picture, right? Because it gives you a good view of the details in 3D. Try to have more than one picture. I'm only going to be using one picture this time, but usually it's useful if you have more than one picture. Now that you've downloaded the picture, go to the folder you saved it, and then find the picture, right? So, here you go. So now you can see, once you click the open button down here, that you can open an image and that you can look at the image in the UV image editor. Now this is useful for a number of reasons. First, it's useful because you can just look at the picture, and second, it's useful because, as you will see later in my next tutorial, it's useful for texturing and having the picture being pasted on to the model you want to have it on, right? And so then the way to add a block or an object is you either click the add button down here and click mesh. Wait, yes. Oh yeah, mesh. So mesh down here, click cube or any of the shapes you want, and then add it in like that. Or you can click Shift+A, which is my preferred choice, and it's the same thing, but it's a shortcut. So I'm going to add a cube right here, and then once you add the cube, you have the cube, right? And so we're going to try to model the turret. There's a modifier called the mirror modifier. You go to the little wrench here, and by clicking mirror, and then clicking whichever axis you want it to go, you can have it work. But the thing is, mirror mirrors the object along the origin, right? You see the little dot here, So what you have to do is you have to select everything by double clicking A, and then pulling it along the y-axis. You should be changing the axes that the mirror acts on, to make sure that you have the have the mirror going in the right direction, right? So now we have that. What we're going to do is we're going to click Shift. We're going to click Control R. So Control R is a loop cut. It essentially cuts your shape. It adds a cut to your shape. You can do that, or you can do this. Double click A, scale it down, and as we can see, we're trying to get that shape over there. So we're going to first work with the basic shape of the tank. So you can change from face select, edge select, or vertex select. We're going to be using vertex select. And what you want to do is you want to click the vertices you want to drag down, and you want to go along these three little lines, right? You don't want to pull it all along like freestyle, because it kind of goes crazy. What you want to do is you want to pull it along these little axes, so you make sure that your lines are straight. Once you do that, we want to get that little angle. You want to get that little angle on the tank. So what we do is we pull it out a bit, and then what you want to do, since there's a slight curve, that you want to first pull this outwards a bit. Then you want to go to face select and click E. You want to click E, and that extrudes the shape. When you extrude the shape, you can create a curve by having constant extrudes. It's kind of like this. Constantly extruding the shape. Now noticeably you can see here that the mirror is starting to get kind of wonky. You want to pull it out, pull it in a bit. Oops. You want to rotate this by clicking R and then clicking Z to rotate on the Z axis. Pull it in, rotate by the R, pull it in, and there we go. Now you can see we have the curve, but we don't have this compartment over here. Nor do we have the little edgy thing there. What you want to do is you want to first clean up the mesh. So you can click numpad 3 and you can have it numpad 3, numpad 6, and numpad 9 to rotate around and make sure your shape is looking good. So clicking numpad 3 shifts to the front, 9 shifts to the other side, and 6 just rotates on regular intervals. So as we can see, it's kind of getting there. We want to rotate this along the y-axis. I mean, not the y-axis, z-axis. Oops. Yep. So it gets that curve. Pull it out a bit. Pull this out a bit. Rotate along the z-axis. And rotate along the z-axis. There we go. So now we got the turret shape. Remember the things I told you to do. I told you E for extrude, I for intrude. So, for example, you want to get that little button over there. You click Ctrl R, roll up the little mouse wheel thing to control the amount of cuts you want to make. Click down here to face select, and click E to extrude. Click I to intrude, and then click E to extrude, and then push it in. Now we have this little button thing, right? Now we know that the tank doesn't actually have that button thing, but essentially it's just a demonstration of the uses of the intrude button. You can have like the area kind of pushed in, which is really useful, especially when you're making wheels. Making wheels right here. The mirror modifier, which you can get by clicking the wrench. Face select, which you can look down here to find. S to scale, so double click A and you can scale it up using S. You remember to use the arrows, right? You use the arrows along the axis arrows, so you don't like have the mesh starting to look kind of like a monstrosity, kind of like this weird monstrosity, right? You don't want the monstrosity. And then let's say like you made the barrel. Let's say you made like a that's not a barrel. Let's say you made a barrel, right? But it was a separate object. Then what do you do, right? You want to make it the same mesh as the tank you have right here, but then because it's a different mesh altogether, you can't edit this while you're editing the cylinder as well. What you do is you click both of them, click the two you want to join, and click Ctrl+J. Ctrl+J joins them together and puts whatever modifiers you had before onto the shape. Now, before you join stuff, you obviously want to apply the modifier, because if you don't apply the modifier, it gets applied to the barrel, and you have like this weird little twin barrel, right? So then you don't want a twin barrel. You want to have a single barrel. So what you want to do is you want to click apply, and then you want to Ctrl+J, and then there you go. You have a mesh joined together. Now, let's say we had vice versa, right? Let's say you wanted the barrel to be separate now, because you want to be able to rig it. Then what you want to do is you want to click P in edit mode. You want to click edit mode down here. You can switch through modes. Click P, click selection, and there you go. Now your selection is separate from the rest of the mesh. Finally, I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for everything that you probably want to know. Is the scale, remember. E is the extrude and intrude. I is the intrude. Shift A is to add stuff. Shift-D, actually, I haven't talked about Shift-D. Shift-D duplicates the mesh, so you can have like duplicates of the same thing. The modifiers is the wrench thing. You can explore the modifiers, but I recommend the mirror modifier because it saves you time. Control-R makes it so that you can make loop cuts. You can make cuts, and the usefulness of that is that you can like limit the extrude to only this side, for example, and then just make sure that you don't have to move the entire mesh. Like not the entire mesh follows you, and instead you're limiting the effect to only that area. You also P is to separate. Ctrl+J is to add together. And S is to scale, and X is to delete. You want to use the arrows, and that's pretty much all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.